Isser B'fnei Evil Asita Misha. And even though the Pasha types of the words, Isser to put a stumbling block in front of a blind person, I don't think it's something that's very negated to most people. Most people don't go around doing that. But the truth is that if you look, Roy Rishonim understand that actually, if you're going to put a stumbling block before a blind person, literally, you're actually not over the Isser L'fnei Evil. You might be over other Isserim, you're definitely not a good person. Isser L'fnei Evil, I see the Mishal, and Rishonim, including the Ravid, say that there is no Isser, the Isser putting a physical stumbling block. So what is the Isser L'fnei Evil, I see the Mishal? So, the Gemara says, the Isser is to give someone an Eitzah She'ena Hegenes, to give someone a bad eitzah, bad advice, and particularly to do something which causes someone else to be over and abed. Now this also may seem, at first glance, to be something which is not so negated. Most people, I'd assume, are not walking around giving people ideas to go and do aveiros, hope. However, the truth is that this is something which is extremely negea on a day-to-day basis for pretty much anybody who's involved in the workforce. If you're working with secular Jews at all, there are many, many practical shilas that come up in terms of Neiver. And in particular, I want to discuss two shilas, and I don't make a disclaimer, I don't want to come out anything halacha l'maisa, and the shilas should be discussed with the Rav, each one on an individual basis, but discuss a little bit two shilas which are very, very practically negea for many people. The first shilah is, if you want to sell something online, if you have a vending machine, it would be a similar shilah, and you post something on Amazon, let's say an Amazon seller, and there may be secular Jews that go to your website, go to Amazon, go to your website on Shabbos, and they're going to purchase from you. Now, not getting involved in the sugi of Schar Shabbos, the sugi of Mekher Shabbos, there are ways around that to set things up properly, but assuming we don't have those issues, then what about the problem with Neiver? You post something on Amazon, and you can have a secular Jew who's going to go online on Shabbos, and he's going to, because of the item you're selling, he's going to go and purchase it. So, l'chayra, it's Isser Deraisa with Neiver, Asita Mitchell, you're causing him to be over the Isser Deraisa of whichever Isurim are involved, now getting into that, going online and typing into his computer, Ksiva and other Isurim. So the first question is, do we have a heter? Can we sell things online? Do we have to be worried that a secular Jew will be purchasing from us? The second shayla I want to discuss, also very practical, is are you allowed to give food to a non-frum person to eat? You have someone, you have a client, he comes to the office, you want to give him some donuts, you want to give him lunch, maybe you have a worker, you want to give him a drink. So it sounds wonderful, it's Kiddush Hashem. But outside Hashemi, you give him this food, he's not going to make a bracha. So you're being machshalim with an isser of eating without a bracha, which the Gemara says that you're a thief if you eat without making a bracha. So can you give a secular person food to eat? You're being machshalim with the isser of eating without a bracha. Now, in order to properly address these sugyas, what we have to do is we have to first look at the shroshim of the isser of Lufnei Iver, see what exactly is involved, what are the parameters of the isser, and see if we can come up with heterim, what heterim are included in the Gemara, and which situations would be mutter, which situations would be awesome. So the Mishnah, first Mishnah in Avodah Zarah, tells us halacha, Lufnei idei shleidi kechavim shleishi yomim osir losis v'losimon. 3 days before a guy's holiday, you're not allowed to do business with him, you're not allowed to lend him, pay back chayvus. And now, just as an aside, you might be wondering, we just passed the holiday season for the goyim, why don't we hear this halacha? We didn't see all the businesses closing down because you're not allowed to do business with goyim. So this question is actually something that was addressed already in the days of the Rishonim. Taisus and many other Rishonim are very bothered, and they have different eitzes based on maybe the goyim is mamazet, it's not the same level of Avodah Zarah that used to be. Shita from Christianity might not be full-fledged Avodah Zarah. Other heteir, Mishum Eva, we can't make the goyim hate us, but that's its own sugya. But I'll call upon him, the Mishnah has this isser that you're not allowed to do business before a goyish holiday. And the Gemara says, what's the reason? So the Gemara says, 2 reasons. Either Mishum Harvacha, because he's going to do a good deal, and when he does a good deal, he's going to go and thank his getchka. And there's an isser of Shein Elihim Achim Leishom Al Picha, causing the name of an idol to be mentioned. Forget about that. It's also for you to do it. It's also for it to be mentioned by Eved Avodah Zarah. So you can't do business with him because you're going to cause him to thank his God. One possible reason the Gemara says. The other reason the Gemara says is a dilma mishum l'fnei iver l'sitim mishum. Because of the isser l'fnei iver, there's an isser even for a goy. those things that are also for a guy to do, including avodah zarah, so if you're going to give him behema for him to bring as a carbon to his idol, so you were machshul him, you were over lufnei iver, helping him do this aveira of avodah zarah. The Gemara says, what's the difference between these two reasons? The Gemara says the difference is if he already has an animal to bring as a carbon, and you're selling him a second animal. So if the problem is havvacha, so he's going to thank his God, even if he already had one cow. But if the problem is the evil, since he already had an animal to bring, so it's not you who's causing him to do that aveir, you do it either way, and therefore there's no isser of l'sita mishal. Now, frek the Gemara, you're going to tell me that if he already has a cow, and he already has the possibility of bringing the carbon, there's no problem with naiver. So the Gemara says, how do we know you're not allowed to give a nazir, you're not allowed to drink wine, you're not allowed to give a nazir a cup of wine to drink? So the Gemara says, so the Gemara asks that the nazir, when you hand him the cup of wine, even if you don't hand it to him, he'll do the isser the same without you handing it to him, because he'll just pick it up and drinking it. So if you're going to tell me now that when the guy already has a carbon, there's no problem of giving him another animal, but why is that different in the case of the nazir who is fully capable of picking up the wine, and still we say you're not allowed to hand him the wine to drink? So the Gemara says a teretz, which is a very, very important yisai in the whole sugya of lufnei iver of sita mishal. The Gemara says, Hacha the mayaskina, the koi betray every dinahar. No, the case where it's also to give the nazir wine is only if the nazir is standing on the opposite side of a river, and there's no bridge, and there's no way for him to get over the bridge, and he's desperate for his wine, and he says, please pass me the wine, you pass it to him, that's lufnei iver, because it's only with your help he was able to be able to isser. But if it's chad iver denahara, you're standing next to the nazir in the bar, and he says, pass me the cup of wine, you're not able to lufnei iver, because if you don't, you say no, he'll just go and he'll pick up the wine and drink it on his own. So the Gemara is coming out, the isser of the evil sita mishal is only if the fellow who's doing the isser can only do the isser because of your action. If the fellow would have been able to do the isser even without you, so there's no problem with evil sita mishal. Now, if we would just have this Gemara, it would make a lot of the shilas that we started off with not to be shilas at all, because in most cases the person has alternate access to whatever it is that you're providing for him to do this. Or you're giving food to someone, he may be able to have his own food, you're going to sell something online, there's many other places that are selling. The problem is that we have many Rishonim say that even though Midairaisa, the Isser Lufnei Iver Leisite Mitchell only applies when you hand someone something that they otherwise would not have been able to do the Isser, but if you hand someone a Dvar Asr, even if they could have been over without you, but the fact that you're being involved in the Isser is an Isser of Messiah or the Ever Aveir. You're not allowed to help someone do an Aveir, just like there's a mitzvah in the Torah, to try to prevent someone from being over Yisurim. So if you're going to go and you're going to actively hand them a Dvar Isser, so you're doing the very opposite of the Ratzon HaTorah, and the Rabban were going to say that it's also to help someone do an Aveir, even if he could have done it on his own. Now, let's go to our shilas. We want to know about selling something online. Can you sell something online on Shabbos? Now, if you're talking about something that you're the sole manufacturer, sole producer of this item, and no one else, there's nowhere else to get it, it's an Iver Deraisa, and it would be also because without you, he would have absolutely no access to buy this. If you close down your website on Shabbos, so he wouldn't be able to buy it, and it would be also. If you're selling something which you're just one of 25 Amazon sellers selling the exact same item, there's no Lufnei Iver. There may be other problems, but Lufnei Iver, how could it be Lufnei Iver if the person could have done the Isser without you? Now, the problem, like we mentioned before, is that even if there's no Lufnei Iver, many Rishonim hold there's still a problem with Messiah. Now, when he goes to buy the item, you're right that you're not the only way that he could do it. There's no Lufnei Iver. But l'chayra, Messiah you are. You're helping him be over the Isser, because right now, all the Isurim that he's doing is through your website, through purchasing it from you. So l'chayra, you're helping him and the cause of him to be over this Isser. So is there any Eitzah for Messiah? So the truth is that it's not so pashut, this Isser Messiah, even though we said that it would seem that many Rishonim hold it. Taisus over here in Avodah Zarah seems not to have Isser Messiah, because Taisus is talking about giving a mummer something about Isser, and he says that Yisrael she'omer ha'ishli nevelo echazir eshum Isser, so you're not allowed to do it. If it's Yisrael mummer, you're not allowed to hand it to him. However, Zok Taisus, that's only if he's standing on the other side of the river. But if he's on the same side of the river of you, and the mummer, this fellow, this irreligious Jew, says, hand me the piece of treif meat, I want to eat my cheeseburger, so Taisus says there's no issur at all to hand it to him. So Chayr Taisus doesn't hold this in Messiah. And the Ramah, in Shulchan Aruch in Yeridea, Simon Kufnan Aleph, he brings 2 days. He brings a machlokes. Are you able to be makel? He's talking about selling to a goy, things that they would use in the cloister. Are you able to be makel to sell to a goy? So he brings that there's 2 days, whether or not there's an isser where he has other availability to get this item. And he says that the minig is nagu lahakul kasvar rishayna. The minig is to be makel that if there's other access to this davar aser, it's mutter to sell it in. V'chol bal nefesh yachal atzmai, bal nefesh should be machmer, but he says that the ikra din it's mutter. And Taki Moshe, Ramah clearly understands. It's because he understands the machlokes that there is an isser Messiah, and he says the minig was to be makel in the isser Messiah. Now, the Shach says that the Ramah is making a mistake. There's no machlokes. Everyone holds that there is an isser to help someone do an aveira. It's just, we have a Taisus that we just read that says that you're allowed to give Yisrael mummer his cheeseburger if you're standing on the same side of the river as him. And we have Taisus elsewhere who says you're not allowed to. Zok the Shach, it's not a kasha. It depends who you're talking about. If you're talking about a goy, helping a goy do an isser, there's no problem. You're allowed to help a goy do an isser. Helping Yisrael mummer, you're allowed to help Yisrael mummer. The problem of helping someone do an isser, that's Yisrael kosher. And then, because we have a din of you have to prevent him from doing Yisurim, the Rabban Mergoyzer, definitely it's osir to help him do Yisurim. Now, this Shach is a tremendous storm in Achrayim. How could the Shach say that you're allowed to help Yisrael mummer to be over an Isser? Yisrael mummer, he's Afal Pisha Chat Yisrael. Who cares that he himself does Yisurim? But could you help someone continue to do Averis because he already has this minig that he does Averis? So, the Achronim discuss this, and Dogma Vava says a pshat, it's not Yehuda, and the Dogma Vava's pshat is accepted by many Achronim Halacha. Dogma Vava says that Avada the Shach is not saying that he's not a Yid, and that's why you're allowed to help him out do Yisur. Zok the Shach, Zok the Dogma Vava, what's the reason that they were geyser and Isser for someone to help someone do an Aveira? It's because you're supposed to be stopping him from doing Aveiras. It's like the Shach, if you have a fellow, right, you're standing next to the guy, he wants his cheeseburger, he says, could you please pass me my cheeseburger? And he's an irreligious Jew. You're going to tell him, no, you can't have that. What's he going to do? He's going to say, okay, get out of my way, and he'll pick it up and eat it. So there's no reason to be geyser Messiah if the person's not going to listen to you. And the same thing with a goy. You have someone who's already Eiv Kichavim, he's not going to listen to you. The only reason to aser Messiah is when it comes to a person who would listen to you. Someone who might listen to your musar, so then you're to give him musar, and for sure it's also midrabanan to help him actively be over the isser. But if you're talking about a person who definitely will not listen to you, Zok the Dog Mavava, the Shach, then there's no problem with saying. So now we get back to our shayla. You are running your website. So again, if you're the sole producer and provider of this item, so then it's with Ne'iver, the Raisa, it doesn't make a difference. If it's Yisrael Mummer, it's definitely awesome. If there's other providers, so now it's Chad Ivid and Ahar. It's the same. This person has other access to the Isser. If you're going to take down your item every Shabbos, so all that's going to happen is that the Goyim will get the business on Shabbos. In that case, there's definitely no Isser, the Iraisa with Ne'iver. The only Shaila is an Isser Messiah. But who are we talking about? Who's going to come shopping online on Shabbos? It's secular Jews, you could assume. So if it's secular Jews, we could be saying on the Shach and the Dalgam Mervava that say that there's no problem in Messiah with the Avery Aveira when it comes to Yisrael Mummer. Now, you might ask that we're all familiar with the concept of Tinik Shenishba. That Bisman Azad, Chazon Ish already says this, we assume that all secular Jews do not have the status of a Mummer. They're not someone who's out the dafka to go connect with Hashemah. They weren't brought up properly, and the Mela, they're considered an Einus. So he's not a Yisrael Mummer. How are you allowed to help him out to do Averis? So the teretz is that if this was some sort of halacha that a mummer is such a bad person that we don't care to help him do averis, you're right, this is not a bad person, you could be a wonderful person. But if we go with the Dogma of Ava's understanding, what's the reason you're not allowed to, there's no Isser Messiah? Because he won't listen to you anyway. He's not someone who the mitzvah of Teichecha applies. Adarabba, if you go to a secular Jew and tell him, don't be over in Isser, not only will he not listen to you, probably you'll make Chil Hashem. So if that's the case, so I don't care that he's a Tanik Shemishva. At the end of the day, since he won't listen to me anyway, he's a person there's no Inyan of Teichacha, and if there's no Inyan of Teichacha, so then there's no problem with Sayaya, and I would be able to rely on this, and I would be able to leave it up on my website on Shabbos. Now, there's not all Achronim like this Dogma of and Shach.
What about if there's something you have a specialty that you can get in?
So that's what I'm saying. If you're the only sole producer and manufacturer, then definitely it's even the rice, you would have to take it down. There's also another shaila, is if you're selling something that the only other sellers are Jews, which sometimes is the case, especially if you're selling Judaic or something. So then you have this, many Achronim will hold that if however the person buys it, some Jew is going to be able to naiver, you can't rely on it and say, well, a different Jew will do it, so I can do it. So 5 Jews, 1 Jew can't do it, but if 5 Jews sell it online, it's mutter. That doesn't make any sense. Because the Mishnah Melech says that's awesome. But in a regular case, assuming that the other sellers, there are other sellers for almost everything, and the other sellers are going to be, at least some of them will be Goyim, or maybe irreligious Jews, that also might be an Eitzah. In that case, l'chayra, there's no problem with Ne'iver, and the only problem that's left is Messiah. And we're saying when it comes to secular Jews, Messiah is not a problem. Now, even though not everyone agrees to this heter, but there are other sniffim to be made. First of all, you're not putting it there, you're not posting it right before Shabbos to be sold on Shabbos. You're posting it in the beginning of the week, and your hope is it will be sold. You're not specifically hoping it's sold on Shabbos. So that takes away from the chaymer of the Isser. And there's another story that perhaps Roiv people in the world definitely are Roiv. So unless you're selling something that only appeals to Jews, there's a story of Roiv. So B'tzir, if other kulas, so then all the G'dei Achreinim were willing to be Saimach on the Shach and Dogma Vav if you have other reasons to be made. Now, an interesting shaila is, now this not only applies to websites, it's really the shaila began to be discussed in the G'dei Achreinim to discuss vending machines. You put a vending machine in a public place, you have this exact same shaila. So there's an interesting shaila which comes up with vending machines and definitely it can come up with websites also, is that what if you are the sole provider? You get the contract to put the vending machines on the freeway, and you have a vending machine somewhere in the Adirondack Mountains that if your vending machine is not there on Shabbos, there's no other place to buy food on Shabbos. So when the secular Jew comes over on Shabbos, and he pulls up and he stops at the rest there and he buys something from your vending machine, you're the only way he can be over. So the states, even their ice. And this can come up also if you have a contract for a website, you provide web hosting services, and you have some service which is a unique service and it's hosted on your website, then if you wouldn't have it there, it would definitely not be available on Shabbos because you're the only one providing this service. So at first glance, you'd say this is a case of chad, of trei iver dinahara, a case where it's not accessible except for you, and therefore it should be usher. However, if you think about it, you get the contract to put the vending machines on the thruway. If you're going to tell the thruway authority that, I'm closing my vending, every Shabbos we're going to, unplug the vending machine, they can say, I'm very sorry, we're going to give the contract to someone else. So when you take the contract, it's true that once you take the contract, every Shabbos you're the sole provider, but if you'd ever stop for one Shabbos, they'll find a different provider. So the service will be provided either way. It happens to be this specific Aveira is only available through you, but the service will be provided one way or another. So do I call that Chad Iver Dinahara because it will definitely be provided even if I don't do it? Or is that Trei Iver Dinahara where it's somehow it's going to be accessible? And Mamela, so do I look at something that's accessible only through me, or do I say one way or another the service is going to be available? So l'chayra we could say that this is totally in a machlekes. As a machlekes, if the guy already has an animal, you said that you're allowed to sell the guy an animal. What if I know that the guy is very fruma guy? He wants to bring 2 karbanos to his getcha. So by me selling him the animal, I'm causing him to be over another isser he would not have been over. So there are Rishonim who hold that in that case you're not allowed to sell him the animal because this added isser is only available through you. However, many Rishonim, it seems the Ikal Halacha, is that even in this case, you're allowed to sell him the animal because since the isser would have been done even without you, it's mutter. L'chayr, what's the machlokes? The machlokes is, do I look at the particular isser and say, at the end of the day, right now, is this isser that's happening only through me? If that's how I look at it, so at the end of the day, this Shabbos, since I'm the sole provider, I have the vending machine, I'm the one causing the isser. But if I say that, do I look at it, is he going to be over the isser without me, which the Chayr seems the ikal halacha, so then at the end of the day, the isser one way or another would be, he would be over the isser, and therefore perhaps it would be mutter. Now to get to the second shayla we said we discussed, which is, are you allowed to feed a non-religious Jew food? Now, this shayla is very Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch says that Layitin lechel sim kusam tes in Arachaim. Layitin lechel elo l'misha yedei b'yish yivarach. You're not allowed to give food to someone who's not going to make a bracha. Very Shulchan Aruch. Yesh mekilun noisim ani b'teretz tzedakah. If you're giving a teretz tzedakah, like the Ramah, maybe there are mekilun. Now, l'chayra, this is a tremendous problem for many, many people. You know, this could be a problem. You go get a job, and your boss is an irreligious Jew, and he says, "Could you go buy me lunch?" You're going to tell him no. You can lose your job. You have a client. You want to provide him. You come to your client's office. You bring along a box of donuts. Is that mutter? You have a worker coming to your house, and you want to give him a drink. He's hot. He's thirsty. He asks you, "Can I have a cup of water?" You tell him, "No, you can't have a drink." So, when could we be making? What possible source are there lahakol? Given that it's a beferish Shulchan Aruch that it's also. So there's a number of different possible eitzes which are discussed in that Achronim. Now, first of all, Ramosha discusses a case where you have an office, you have a partner who's a non-religious Jew. Are you allowed to stock the kitchen? If you stock the kitchen, he's going to go and take the food and not make a bracha. And Ramosha's nachas that if you're just stocking the kitchen, you're not actually giving it to him, that may not be a problem for the either. Only problem Messiah. And Messiah, like we said, helping him do Aveir, if he's not religious anyway, there's no Isser of Messiah, it can be saving from the Shach and Dagim of. But very often this is not the situation. You're actually giving someone food. So what's the halacha? Can you give someone food? So we'll break it down into different cases because the halacha is going to be different in different cases. First, the most important heter, and this heter comes already from the Gedolei Achronim, from the Mincha Shleima, from Shamzam Orbach, the Chazon Ish said something similar to this, is that if you're in a situation, you have a worker comes to your house, he's a Fry Israeli comes to your house and he's working hard and he asks you for a drink. And you tell him, "No, I'm not giving you a drink." It's going to be a tremendous chil Hashem. You have someone comes to your office, if it's customary to offer certain things, and you're not going to offer it, he's going to walk around and say, "These rotten religious Jews, they're terrible." In that case, Zokt, Shlomo Zalman, let's think about it. What's the reason not to give him a drink? Because by giving him a drink, I'm causing him to be over an Issa D'Rabbanan of drinking without a bracha. But if I don't give him a drink, I'm also causing him to be over an Issa. I'm causing him to be over an Issa D'Raisos and Eschinam and many other many Isurim he's going to be over when he curses me out. In that case, Dr. Shlomo Zalman, it's better, don't make the Chil Hashem, give him the drink, and don't be machshel and worse aveirs of cursing you out. So if you're in a situation where it's expected to give the food, and if you don't give the food, it's going to cause a Chil Hashem, so b'chiyai gavna, then l'chayra there's makom l'hakol.
What about to offer a drink?
So now you want to know, is it expected? So if it's customary, if you don't offer, you're going to make a Chil Hashem, then it may be mutter. But if it's something which is not expected, you go and it's totally unexpected, so then this heter definitely would not apply. So are there any other makaris lahakul? So there is another svara lahakul, which is that if you're in a situation, now a cup of water might not help for, but let's say you're in a situation where you have some clients coming to your office and you want to offer them a lunch meeting. Now it's not going to be a chil Hashem if you don't offer lunch. You're not required to offer lunch. If you have a wonderful reason you do want to offer lunch, why? Because if you don't offer them lunch, when they finish the meeting, they're going to go down the block to McDonald's and they're going to be over basa b'cholov and many other isurim chamurim and avelis trefus. So it's much better. Let me serve them a nice kosher lunch. I'll be mezakeh them with kosher food, so they won't make a bracha at nishkefel. So this svara is discussed by the Achronim. Some Achronim are willing to be silent on this alone. Shevet Levi is not so excited about this if it's a situation of lufnei iver, where he has no other access to the food, then l'chayra, the Shevet Levi doesn't want to be silent on this. But he says if in most cases a person could go out and buy food, so it's called chad iver denahar, he has other availability. We're not talking about a derais, we're talking about a derabbanan. It's only a situation of derabbanan, so then it's better give him the kosher food, and he shouldn't be over on the iser chomer of eating the veils treifus. Now, do we have any option, any possible heter to, you still want to be a nice guy, you want to offer food you want to offer someone a drink, like you were saying, you want to bring along to a client some donuts. So this would seem much more difficult. Perhaps if it's a situation where he has other food available anyways, and therefore it's, like we mentioned in the beginning, that any time that the person can be over the Isser without you, it's considered, it's not with the Iver Derais, it's only Messiah. So then you could say, maybe Messiah, I could be saying like the Shach and Dogam Ravava, that if he's a non-religious Jew, there's no problem Messiah, but it's not such a pashta teretz, because it seems to be very shamachaber that you cannot be saying on this if it's a situation where you may lose your job if you don't give the food. Certainly Asher says, you have to be machmir, but then you could be makel if there are others who would go and offer it. And one other important consideration, there's a halacha based on Gemara and Kedushin, that you're not allowed to hit your adult children. And the reason is because if you hit your adult child, he might hit you back. If your child hits you back, he's over tremendous Issur Deraisa of hitting his father. So therefore, he even says you're not allowed to speak to him in a way that might cause him to hit you. If that's the case, it's like the Chavetz Chaim, 1 second, I don't understand. We're saying Lifnei Iver only applies when the person couldn't do the Issur without you. Your son can hit you at any time. He doesn't need you to say something nasty to him or punch him for him to punch you back. So how's that with neighbor? It's chadav in the heart. Zok Chavetz Chaim from here it's mavur that if you are the instigator of the Isser, it's worse. We don't have any of these hatayim. In which case, if we're going to say that when you're the instigator of the Isser, it's worse, so then if you're going to go to someone's office and he wasn't planning on eating anything, and you're going to bring him some donuts, and he's only eating because you brought it. So as much as you might say that, well, he has food available in his kitchen, his office kitchen is fully stocked, and he's a secular Jew, so there's no Messiah, but the fact that he wouldn't have eaten unless of the fact that you showed up with these chocolates, these donuts, whatever it is, so you're really instigating the Isser, and in that case, it may even be an Isser Deraisa. So just to sum up, if it's the case of Chilul Hashem, there's definitely what to be saying on, that you can give the person food, even offer it if it would be expected. If it's a situation where you're preventing him from being over worse Yisurim by eating non-kosher food, that may also be a heter. If neither of those two eitzes apply and your stam is like giving food, there may be makom lahakol if other food's available, but if you're the only reason he's eating is because of you, not push at all to be made. Shkir.
What about Shiur?
What about